Okay, welcome to my second Kerbal Space Program tutorial, where we are going to be exploring how to use planes. So first, you go to the space plane hangar, because that's where you build. Okay, so you want to build the plane. You start out much like how you would build a rocket, right? You get a cockpit, and then you need to put fuel tanks behind your plane, because planes need fuel, just like rockets need fuel. You want the liquid fuel fuselage, not the rocket fuel fuselage, because planes use air instead of oxidizer. So you want to make sure that the parts you use have no oxidizer, they just have liquid fuel, while this one has oxidizer. Anyway, okay. So this is the fuselage of our plane. You could use a smaller part or a larger part, but we're using Mark II, as you can tell. Then at the end, we're going to put a Mark II bicoupler for our engines, right? So this one actually has oxidizer, so you click on it. Yours would probably look like this, and then there's oxidizer, and you drag all the oxidizer out, just like that. So now we've got two attachment points for our engines. So we go to the engine section, and we can get these Panther engines. You can use any engine that you want. I just like the Panther engine. So you put it on the back, and then you can click the X key to turn on symmetry so that you get two. It's much better and more symmetrical. Whoa. Cool, I know. So, obviously, this is not a plane yet. This plane needs wings. So, if we click on the center of mass, over here, it looks like a weight, and when you hover over it, it says center of mass overlay. If we click on that, this yellow thing appears. This is the center of mass. So, we're going to want to put wings on our center of mass. I'm going to use big S delta wings, because I like big S delta wings. Also, they sound cool. Okay, so you want to put flaps on the back of your wings so that you can use the flaps to control yours. Still in symmetry, because you want double the wings. I'm putting these on using the WASD, Q, and E keys. You can use those to rotate parts before you place them. And then if I want another one, I can hold Alt and then click on it, and then a new one appears. And it'll have like the same settings as before, so it'll have the same rotation settings. And now I have flaps. They look kind of bad, but whatever. So I've got the center of mass, and then there's also an aerodynamic overlay, which is the center of lift. You want your center of lift to be behind your center of mass, just like this. It shouldn't be too far behind, like it shouldn't be like way back here where my engines are. Yeah, that's cool. So we're also going to need a tail plane in the back. We're going to use, the AV winglets. You can place them on. Then that was a little bit too far forward, in my opinion. So I'm going to click on the tool, move tool over here, and click on them and drag them back. And I want to make sure they're straight. These look pretty straight. I don't know. Yeah. I'm also going to drag them out because I think they look better farther out. But yeah. Okay. You can use this tool to move the parts around. Okay. Now, also in the aerodynamics section, we're going to want to get inlets. Inlets allow us to get air for our engines, because the engines need air, unlike rocket engines, which is why you can't use them in space. But we're just going to take these inlets and place them on the side. And of course, now we need wheels. And then this should be a pretty decent space plane. Actually, this plane should be good at taking off. This is one of the takeoff techniques. So you put this wheel in the front, and it's above the back wheel, so your plane is slanted up, and then it'll naturally want to take off. So if I click, okay, this plane should take off without me clicking any buttons. If you see these moving, that's the stability assist doing it. I'm not actually clicking any buttons at all. And once it reaches the reasonable speed, it should just like go into the air. See, look, it just glides right up into the air. That's one of the many ways to make planes take off. If your plane isn't taking off, that means you're not getting fast enough with this setup. So you need to make the difference between this wheel and that wheel more. There are other ways to take off. This one is not the best because, of course, it creates landing difficulties. So we're going to go back to the space button hanger. We're going to level out the plane on the ground so that it's easier to see that differences between the wheels. And then we're going to use the move tool that I showed earlier to move the wheel so that it's level with the rest of the wheels in the plane. So another method that you can use is you can move these back wheels to be in line. Shoot, that's not the wheel. To be in line with the flaps. Because the point that the flaps are going to be pushing down from is right there, where the flaps are, right? And if the wheel is there, then it pushes down behind the wheel, then the tail pushes down. And because the tail pushes down, then the front will go up. Basically, see how much flatter it is? Okay. We're going to need to take off. So, in order to take off in a plane, you use the S key. You pull down on the S key, because if you look at the nav ball, the cursor thing is like here, and that way is S. So we can click S, click and hold S, and we take off. And you see, we took off before we did it with the previous model, which is pretty cool. This model did better. So now that we're in the air, we can learn how to fly. So you click this button, that's one of the first things I always do, to do height above land. So instead of being height above sea level, for above land, it'll show the height above land. Then you can also click the caps lock key to switch to fine controls, which just makes your controls less twitchy. And now you can start flying. And if you want to turn your plane, you might think it's a good idea to yaw like this, but as you can see, it's not very good, and the plane just goes back to its original location. What's better is banking by rolling using the Q and E keys, then pulling up using the S key. And it turns much better this way. Obviously, this is not the most controllable plane. If you were going to make your own plane, you would probably use better wings. I don't know. I make space planes a lot, and these are the wings that I always use for space planes, because they're big as space plane wings. So now we're going to go back to the runway, so we're going to want to bank to line up with the runway. Oh, shoot, I forgot to mention. The landing gear, you can make them go down using the G action group key. That's okay. And that toggles them. So if you want to make them go back out, you can use G again. So at this point, you would want a quick save. Then you would want to glide in, cut your engines using the X key, turn on your landing gear, level out, flare up, like this to kill off all your speed, and then go back down. It's not the best approach. Turn on brakes using that button, and fail. Because I'm a failure. Okay. It's kind of bad to fail in your tutorial. Okay, brakes, gear, flaring up. So flare up using the S key to kill off speed, and then go back in. Glide back in. Just control yourself. Point towards the runway. I'm going to turn caps lock back on. Fine controls back on. And then when you start approaching the ground, you just want to pull up and get prograde as close to the horizon line as possible. Maybe even, and then you just drift to a stop like this, and I landed on the runway perfectly-ish. Okay. Darn, I can't refer. Okay. So we have this plane. And there's another way that you can make it take off. If we make these wheels go back, this also makes the planes more controllable most of the time. But when you start running low on fuel, it kind of makes them flip happy. But we do not want to. We're not going to run low on fuel. You can go to the aerodynamics section and find an advanced canard. And then turn on symmetry and put them at the front. And then you can use the rotate tool, which is right next to the move tool, to move them like this. Normally, it won't do this. It'll like snap like this. But you can stop that by using the C key, which makes it more fine and stuff. Yeah, okay. And we're going to move them to improve aerodynamics. So there we go. Okay. This basically makes them, we're pushing down over here and up over here, and that just pushes it into the air better. It adds a little bit of mass, so it makes you accelerate slower, and of course, it can make you flip out of control sometimes. But other than that, it's very good. And we got a takeoff before the other ones, so even faster than the other ones. And we're going to want to click G again, turn on the hide above land, and click caps lock. We're going to want to go for the island runway now, because why not? So we're going to bank towards it. And we're going to go to the map screen. If you don't have any of the DLCs, this won't work, but I do, so I can activate navigation. And yoink. And now a little green thing appears on my screen, but that's where the island airfield is. You can also just see it, it's that big island right there. It's like the first one you see. We can fly towards it, because that's what you do in planes. You fly towards things. It would be good practice to try to fly towards it, because obviously planes are kind of hard to fly. If you couldn't tell based on me like spinning out of control, like super wildly. But this plane does have better control, and I just used yaw because I can. If we start. Now we're close, we can G, turn on brakes, start getting the descent. Cut your engines during descent, that's generally a good idea. So you want to line yourself up with the runway. just like last time, your descend and then pull out at like the last second. This plane has much better pull up. Is much better at pulling up than my previous plane because of those canards at the front. And just barely stopping. So we're going to want a quick save, turn off the brakes, do these have reverse thrust? Okay. So now we're going to want to turn around so that we can take off again and head back. This runway is quite difficult to take off from. If you wanted to, you could explore it, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to take off, like, now, please? Yeah, okay. Now we're going to go back to the Kerbal Space Center. If you zoom out, you can see it. It's that, like, plane over there. That part that's lower than all the other areas. Now we can go back to our ship. And we're going to want to visit a very special location right next to the Kerbal Space Center. If you don't want to see it, then skip that and just leave this video, I guess. It's a little Easter egg. It's not very hard to find on your own, so now that you know it's there, you could look for it. It's right on that plane somewhere. Oh, saying plane is probably confusing. On that flat area. Wow. That literally means the exact same thing. Okay. So we're going to want to line up with the floodplain area. And we're just going to want to dive down. Probably brakes on. Not wheels out yet, but just glide. So I'm approaching it. It should be slightly to the right of the runway. I can't see it yet. Oh well, oops, did not turn on the brakes. Yeah, it's right there. It's that black speck. So we're going to flare up to kill off all of our speed. Then move down. Oh dang, I'm overshooting it. And we're just going to want to glide into it and then perform a normal landing next to it. Pull up. Oh, we're kind of stalling. Okay, here we go. And I don't mean stalling as in like trying to make this video go longer. Well, when airplanes start going too slow, they start stalling. So now we can drive this air, which is just when the lift produced by their wings does not exceed the weight of the plane. So they start going down. Now we can drive our plane like a car, because that's what we do here. And as you can see, there's this black thing. Uh-oh, shoot. Oh well. We didn't really need this anymore. We can make Jebediah go out. And look at it, because that's what Jebediah does, right? You can click You make W to make them go forwards, and then you can hold Shift to make them go faster. And this is just a memorial to Squad, which is, as you probably know, the company that made this game. It's pretty cool. It's just got the Squad logo and then the word Squad. Then we can use the bracket keys to switch back to our plane, turn off our landing gear so that Jeb can get back in, and have Jeb walk over. Run over using, because Shift makes them run. Okay. And then Jeb can plant a flag right here. And this flag is our ladder. In all caps, because I forgot to turn off caps lock. Darn. Okay, I guess the flag ladder idea didn't work. No, Jeb, get back in. Oh. There we go. Oh, I didn't even need the flag. So, the plane has landed, and we can drive it back over to the launch runway thing to pretend that we actually landed it properly. And we can, just for symmetry, so we can break that other way. There we go. Much better. Gosh darn it. Okay. That was fun.